What if I told you one of the most powerful African empires in history shows up on the first few pages of the Bible, right next to the Garden of Eden? What if their story of pyramid-building pharaohs, feared warriors, and queens defended by God Himself has been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Today, we're going back in time to uncover the incredible and often overlooked truth of the Cushites, a black African civilization whose history is woven all through the scriptures. The sidelined history. For centuries, the story of black people in the Bible has been downplayed, distorted, or simply pushed to the side. When we imagine the biblical world, we often picture a landscape filled only with people of Middle Eastern or European descent. But that picture is missing a huge piece of the puzzle. A powerful, sophisticated, and undeniably black civilization plays a key role throughout the Old and New Testaments. They are the Cushites. So who were they? In the Bible, the name Cush points to a kingdom south of Egypt, mostly in the land we now call Sudan. This was the heart of the kingdom of Cush, a civilization that was a major power for over 1,000 years, from around 1070 BCE to 350 CE. They were masters of trade and warfare, and they actually built more pyramids than the Egyptians. Let's be clear, ancient people knew exactly who the Cushites were. The Hebrew word for Cush is linked to blackness. Egyptian art shows Cushites with dark skin, and the ancient Greeks, who were fascinated by them, called the people of Cush Aethiops, which literally means burnt face, a term they used for black Africans. The first-century historian Josephus plainly stated that the people known as Cushites were the same people the Greeks called Ethiopians. This wasn't some forgotten tribe on the edge of the map. This was a powerhouse. The kingdom of Cush was known for its incredible wealth, especially gold, and a military that could go toe-to-toe with the world's biggest empires. They were a people respected and even feared far and wide. So why has a civilization so important to the ancient world been treated like a footnote in so many Sunday school classes? To get the answer, we have to go back to the very beginning. The roots in Genesis. The story of the Cushites doesn't start in the margins of history. It starts on page 2 of the Bible. In Genesis chapter 2, as the Garden of Eden is being described, the Bible names 4 rivers that flow from it. One of them, the Gihon, is the river that flowed around the whole land of Cush. Think about that. Before humanity's fall, before sin even entered the world, Cush was right there, part of God's perfect creation. But the connection gets even deeper. After the Great Flood, the world is repopulated through Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. In Genesis 10, the Bible gives us the Table of Nations, a family tree of the ancient world. And who is the very first son of Ham to be mentioned? Cush. Cush is the father of a people, an ancestor of a foundational branch of humanity. This isn't a small detail. In the biblical worldview, genealogies are everything. They explain how God ordered the world. By putting Cush at the head of this line, the Bible establishes the Cushite people as a core part of the human family from day one. They aren't outsiders, they're originals. And it gets even bigger. Cush was the father of Nimrod, the legendary hunter who founded the great cities of Mesopotamia, like Babel and Nineveh. This links the Cushite bloodline directly to the birth of civilization itself. So when we ask, where are the black people in the Bible? The answer is right here, at the foundation. They aren't an afterthought, they are part of the origin story. But if their roots run this deep, where else do they appear? The answer reveals a story of power, royalty, and a very controversial marriage. Royalty, warriors, and a controversial marriage. Let me ask you something. How many sermons have you heard on Moses' Cushite wife? It's one of the most shocking and overlooked moments in the life of the great lawgiver. In Numbers chapter 12, we read that Miriam and Aaron, Moses' own siblings, started talking against him. And the reason? The Bible says it plainly. Because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. They use this marriage to challenge his authority, asking, "Has the Lord spoken only through Moses?" God's response is swift and terrifying. He doesn't get angry with Moses. He gets angry with Miriam and Aaron. God himself comes down in a pillar of cloud to defend Moses and, by extension, his marriage. For questioning him, Miriam is struck with leprosy. In a moment of clear racial and family tension, God takes a side, and he sides with Moses and his African wife, punishing those who spoke against them. It's a powerful statement on prejudice and acceptance. And this wasn't a one-off interaction. The Cushites were a constant, powerful force in Israel's world. In 2 Chronicles, we hear about Zerah the Cushite, who marched on the kingdom of Judah with an army of 1,000,000 men and 300 chariots. This wasn't a small border dispute. It was a full-scale invasion by a military superpower. Their power hit its peak during the 25th dynasty of Egypt, when a line of Cushite kings ruled as the pharaohs of Egypt, the famous Black Pharaohs. And these rulers are right there in the Bible. In 2 Kings 19, the Assyrian king Sennacherib has Jerusalem surrounded and is threatening to wipe it out.